Hi there, I'm Liza from Crafty Creations. I see things online and I want to make them. This time it's all about knitting because it's the perfect season for it. But for many it's also the season for Harry Potter. Some big Harry Potter fans in my family had a baby last year and its first birthday is coming up, so what better present than a tiny Weasley sweater? As per usual, I'm trying to challenge myself, and this time it's the duplicate stitch, which I have never tried before. For the pattern, I chose a very simple top-down raglan sweater. It is called Woof Woof Sweater and available for free online. I will put the link down in the description for anyone interested. But now let's dive into it. For the yarn, I chose Drops Baby Merino because it's one of the most baby-friendly options out there. It's a superwash treated extra fine merino wool with a gauge of 23 to 26 stitches. That puts it into yarn group A. It's usually worked on 3mm needles, which is also what I'm using for this sweater. For the colors, I went with the classic Gryffindor combo. The red is shade 51 Bordeaux and the yellow is shade 45 Lemon. I'm starting the neckband with a 3mm circular needle that's 40 cm long. After the neckband, I switch to a slightly longer needle, and for the largest part of the yoke, I end up using a needle that's around 60 cm long. The pattern offers two options for the neck, one with a little slit and one without. I'm going for the simpler version, so no slit for me. Her parents told me she's almost in size 86, so that's the size I'm knitting. I'm casting on 78 stitches using 2 needles held together, which keeps the cast on edge from getting too tight. After carefully pulling out the second needle and double checking that nothing is twisted, I can join in around and start knitting. I find the first round to always be a bit of a struggle. I hope I'm not alone in this. After the first round, I continue with the 1x1 rib for about 5 cm. The pattern suggests a simple neckline, but I prefer mine folded, which is why I'm making mine longer. Now that I have 5 cm, I can go on to prepare the yoke. Before securing the fold, I knit one round and increase 14 stitches evenly across it. Now it's time to fold the neckband to the inside and line up the stitches. To keep the neckline stretchy, I knit together every second stitch. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. I'm really sorry that the angle is so awkward. So I'm picking up the corresponding cast-on stitch, place it on my needle and knit the two together. The next stitch is a purl, so I just knit it normally. And that I repeat just all the way around. Now that the neckband is nicely folded, it's time to place the markers for the front, back and sleeves. I really like this neat look from the inside. But back to the markers. I always use a green one at the beginning of the round. That's the middle of the back in this pattern. And then different colors for the other sections. Most of my patterns say to lift the stitches and then place the markers. But I'm just way too lazy for that, so I'm just knitting and placing at the same time. Here's what it looks like so far. We have the beginning of the round, marking the middle of the back, then the first sleeve, the second sleeve, and finally the front. It's time to shape the raglan yoke. I'm doing increases 1 stitch before each marker and 1 stitch after, so that 2 stitches form a nice raglan line. It's a bit tricky to see how I do it here, but there are plenty of other YouTube videos that show how to do increases in detail. The pattern calls for 17 increase rounds every second round, so let's go. After a few rounds, you can already see the raglan lines shaping up nicely. The increases before each marker lean to the right, and the ones after lean to the left. By now, the first needle is getting a bit short, so I'm switching to the 50 cm needle. Some people like to transfer the stitches, but I find it faster to just keep knitting on the next needle. The 17 increase rounds are finally finished and the raglan lines are clearly visible. Isn't this little yoke just the cutest? I think it's absolutely adorable. After the increases, the pattern says to knit until the yoke measures 12 cm from the neckband. Let's see where we're at. Alright, I'm just a bit over 1 cm short, so let's keep knitting. Let's see if we got it now. Perfect. It's even a tiny bit longer just in case I'm stretching while measuring. That means the yoke is done and it's time to separate the sleeves from the body. For that, I prepared 2 pieces of scrap yarn to hold the sleeve stitches. I'm separating exactly at the markers, but I'm keeping the green one in place. It's still important as the beginning of the round. When I reach the sleeve, I just let the right needle rest and use a thick sewing needle to thread all the stitches onto it. Make sure to leave a bit of thread at the end so you don't accidentally pull everything through. Once all the stitches are on the thread, I try to keep the sleeve relaxed and then tie a little bow to secure it. Yeah, agreed. The thread is a bit short here. So don't be me. Now we have the gap between front and back where we need to cast on 6 new underarm stitches. I'm not sure what the official method is called, but here's how I do it. I wrap the yarn twice around the needle, giving the first wrap a bit more room, then pull the first loop over the second. It's a bit fiddly and there are definitely other ways to do it, so just pick what works best for you. Now that I've cast on the 6 underarm stitches, I can continue knitting the front of the body and do the same for the other sleeve. You can slowly see the sweater taking shape. I always loved this part. Now it's just a matter of knitting until the body measures about 16 centimeters. Oops, I dropped a few stitches here. Let me fix that quickly. 16 or actually almost 17 centimeters later, the body is almost done and honestly looks so cute. I just love knitting tiny clothes. I added a little extra length again because I would much rather have the sweater too big than too small. Now I can switch to a 2.5mm needle to finish the body with a 1x1 rib. Once I've got about 3 cm, it's time to bind off the body. I think I'm using the Italian bind off here, but I've watched so many different tutorials that I'm not entirely sure anymore. If you know what this technique is actually called, let me know in the comments. I would love to find out. I'm going to try to explain what I'm doing. Since I have a knit and a purl stitch, I go from the back between those two stitches, then from the front through the purl stitch, and then I lift the knit stitch off the left needle. Now I go from the right into the second stitch, then from the right into the purl stitch and lift it off. And I always stretch the yarn a little so the bind off doesn't get too tight. It sounds a bit complicated, but you know you don't have to do it like I do it. After the last stitch, I just weave in the tail on the inside, and the body is finished. Finally, the sleeves. I prefer knitting small things with these flexible needles instead of regular double-pointed needles, and I also feel like it goes a lot faster with them. I'm picking up half of the stitches with one needle and the other half with the other needle. Remember the 6 underarm stitches we cast on for the body? I need to do the same to join the sleeve. I have 2 options here. Either cast on 6 new stitches like on the body and close the gap by hand later, or pick up stitches directly from the body, and that's what I'm doing. Since I usually get tiny holes at the beginning and end, I also pick up 1 to 2 extra stitches in the corner to knit together afterwards. When picking up the stitches, I also try to choose ones that aren't too tight, so that the result sits nicely without pulling. While knitting the first round, I close the gap by knitting the corner stitches together. Then I continue until the sleeve measures about 1 centimeter. At 1 centimeter, I can start the first decrease, so I place a marker on my thread between the stitches. For the decreases, I knit the first 2 stitches together and then do a slip-slip knit on the last 2, leaving 1 stitch in between rounds. I now repeat this every 2 centimeter, which ends up being every 7th round on this sleeve. After decreasing 5 times, I continued knitting until the sleeve measures just over 15 centimeters from the armhole. Now it's time to switch back to 2.5mm needles and finish with the ribbing. I knit a 1x1 rib for about 2 cm and then bind off just like I did for the body. And there we have one perfect little sleeve. Now we repeat the same for the second sleeve. Once that's done, I remove all the markers and turn the sweater around to weave in the ends. I always dread this part a bit because the piece is finished, but not really finished. I'm not showing how to do every single thread here because you get the idea. It's finally time for the fun part, the letter. I'm using the letter from the Weasley Sweater Pattern by Rita Khor. She's obviously the queen of Weasley sweaters, am I right? So I scaled the letter down to 70%, which seems to be a good size for this tiny sweater. Then I tried to find the middle and secured it with pins. Now for the yellow yarn. I'm so excited to see the contrast. I'm starting with the outline, which needs a long thread. Of course, I pinned it through both the front and back, so I fixed that quickly before starting. This part really scrambled my brain a bit because I wanted the thread as visible as possible, so I made a few mistakes along the way. And since it's my first time doing duplicate stitching, I can already tell I went a bit too close to the letter. I should have left a little more space. Ooh, this looks so crooked and wild. I can't believe this will turn into a straight letter by the end. Well, let's get started. I have a super long thread ready and I've got Rita Khor's original letter printed out beside me for reference. I don't think I'm allowed to show it completely, so here's just a corner of it. Luckily, it comes in a helpful diagram where I can count the stitches that I need. I'm starting by going into the stitch right under the one I want to be yellow, carefully leaving the strand inside. Then I go up 2 stitches, pull the thread through the 2 strands of that stitch and back down into the stitch where I started. That way I've duplicated the stitch. Honestly, I didn't think it would be this easy. Now I'm moving up, but future me knows I should have gone row by row. That would have been smarter, so listen to future me. You also have to keep an eye on the floating threads inside the sweater the whole time. If anyone has tips for that, I would love to hear them. After going up 6 stitches, I finally realized I should have worked row by row instead, because I don't really know how to duplicate downwards. I sped up the video, but honestly, one row just took forever. Once I finished the first row, I noticed the stitches were much tighter than the ones I did going up. No matter how much I tried to stretch them, they stayed that way. Guess I had to wait till the end to see how much that actually affects the letter. For the next row, I focused more on keeping my tension even. After completing 6 rows, it's time to shape the eye. From the inside, it looks pretty neat, except for the very beginning. No matter how hard I tried, it still looks a bit tense there. What do you think? 3 business days later, and I really mean 3 whole days, I was finally close to finishing the letter. Honestly, this took longer than knitting the entire sweater, and I think this would go much faster with thicker yarn. Ta-da! It's done! Now I just need to tidy up the inside, wash it, block it, and then it will be ready to gift. Let's measure it to see how much it grows with blocking. It's a good 28 centimeters wide, about 18 centimeters long, and the sleeves are 16 centimeters. Wow, it looks like it grew quite a bit with blocking, and the stitches look so much more even now. I'm not a fan of how visible the red is through the yellow, but it was my first time after all, so I'm still proud of myself. Let's measure it again. The length is now 20 centimeters, 2 centimeters longer than before, while the width stayed at 28 centimeters. Guess the growth was just an illusion after all. The sleeves grew about 2 centimeters as well. Overall, I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I hope the parents will love it. If I were to do it again, I would definitely pick thicker yarn. For now, I hope you enjoyed this video and feel inspired to knit your own little Weasley sweater. There's still plenty of time before Christmas. Thank you for watching and see you soon.